Who pissed you off that made you want to go away so far?
Whoa, that's a long, long list.
Sometimes that's the catalyst, right?
Yeah,
you just had enough and you say, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, no.
Was it that for you, or was it something else?
I was unhappy. I was finished university and fell right into a job wearing a suit and tie, and 2 years disappeared, and I saw myself turning 65 before I'd done anything. And up until that point, a lot of things had made me angry. I was disappointed with university. Listening to the news would aggravate me, and I was on edge. So leaving was the only real option that I had in front of me.
Glasgow, Scotland, was it just the cheapest flight for you?
It was a cheap flight. I had a friend from university who was from Glasgow. However, he had moved on to London, so he was no longer there. My roots are Scottish, and I thought it would be a good idea to get my feet wet in a country that spoke English. But
absolutely.
But the Glaswegian accent, it is a stretch to call that English. I almost didn't get out of the airport. I didn't have a hotel reservation. I had my one-way flight, so I asked a guy in the airport how to get into the city center, and he told me, but I didn't understand a word. And I thought, well, if I don't understand this guy, what am I going to do when I get to Spain or Vietnam or Kenya? I'm in big trouble. But kind of shook that one off and found a bus and
how much travel? How many miles do you think you've put in?
A few years ago, I tried to do a rough calculation, and I think I'd gone around the world about 6 times.
Wow!
As far as kilometers, but that was, calculating the little bus journeys here and there. But I've gone around the world 5 times, but I haven't seen anything close to the world.
What's a commonality you found, no matter where you went?
Well, travelers, it doesn't matter what country you're from, what your background is, what your education is. Travelers share one common link. They've all decided to leave their comfort zone and go off and see somewhere new. And that link is an icebreaker. And with that, there's a sense of curiosity that we all share. There's an amazing support system in the travelers community. I mean, you're all looking
and generosity from other strangers too, even people that aren't travelers, right?
Sure. I mean, the hospitality I've received. I've actually looking forward to coming home and hosting some of the people that have taken me into their homes over the years.
Nice.
Well, for sure, and that is part of the juice of traveling. You just get to see this local insight to some of these places.
How much money did you have when you took your first trip? When you took off for Glasgow, what was in your pockets?
I had about a couple $1,000 saved up. Not too much. I had planned on working when I was going to be traveling, but I always kept a little bit of a safety nest just in case I ran out of money or needed to bribe my way out of jail. Working was something that I was looking forward to doing when I was traveling. So saving up thousands and thousands of dollars wasn't necessary.
It's the Live 88.5 Startup Catfish Corner. We're talking to Matt Hamilton. He's an author, and he's written Through Travel and Error: Confessions of an Asylum-Seeking Canadian. One of these questions will lead to another one in a sec, but when you're traveling around the world, very often you'll come in contact with the police in some aspects. Did you at any point have trouble dealing with somebody, or did you find yourself in a situation that you just did not see coming?
I did get pulled aside going through airports now and then. I think a brush cut and a few piercings sends off alarm bells, which is fine. Bribing seemed to take place a little bit in places like Southeast Asia, Cambodia, crossing the border. The guys gave us a little bit of a hassle. A country like Malawi, getting a visa extension, it could take some time, or you could slip a little bit of money his way and have it take place right then and there.
Your gangster friend, what was your associate? Not to to interrogate you here, but what was your dealing with him? Did you just befriend this guy, or he befriended you? Or?
To be honest, I had no idea he was a gangster. Right. He owned this restaurant where I was cleaning cutlery, and after a little while, I just noticed that a lot of the locals and the regulars were rather tough characters, and I'd seen and heard some things that made me scratch my head. I'm from suburban Ottawa. I mean, I grew up with a white picket fence, and gangsters were things you saw on TV, so I was a little clueless and naive. And then I finally asked a guy I was working with, I said, what's the story with this? And he said, well, it's this guy, and this crime he committed. He's run down to the Canary Islands with all of his money and all of his gangster buddies. Man. So then things started to make a little bit more sense to me, and it was brushing shoulders with the guys. I wasn't going out and and throwing my muscle around
but you
or
run
anything
into
like
so
that.
many people when you're traveling because you don't know. You befriend people, you meet people. Very often you'll never find out the whole story because there's chance meetings and then you're off on a different direction anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure he's long forgotten my name, and hopefully it doesn't come up in conversation anytime soon because I really don't have any.
Well, there he is on the phone right now. Actually.
Yeah, I'd hate to have him drive up right now. Yeah. It's the Live 88.5 Startup, Catfish and Cornicky. We're talking with Matt Hamilton, an Ottawa author and a world traveler.
What's the longest time you've spent in any one place in the last 10 years?
Well, South Africa.
Which is now your second home.
Which is now my home away from home. Right. I was there for a total of 4.5 years, spread out over the 10 years. The longest stint there would have been about 2 years. I mean, it was 2 years running a pub.
And did you get restless after you kind of got 2 years? So that's about it. You're chopping at the bit. You got to move on.
A little bit. I had a girlfriend at the time, and Australia was calling for both of us. I knew I'd be back to South Africa, and I had been there long enough to make the connections and make my friends and develop a second family that I knew I could come back to. And I had learned some lessons. I took things away from Africa that I was hoping to apply in other places. So.
Very cool. It's Matt Hamilton, Ottawa author and world traveler, the Live 88.5 Startup. We're going to leave you with one final question, Matt.
Prior to you taking off and going and seeing a big chunk of the world, as a kid, as a child, what was the farthest place you ever went with the family traveling?
As a kid, well, I think Toronto would have been the big, yeah. Well, actually, why did I take that back? We drove out to Winnipeg as a little guy. I think I was only 6 in a motorhome for my uncle's wedding.
Oh, there you go.
So that would have been the long trip. But hey, this is what I'm looking forward to exploring Canada now that I've understand the world of traveling and what it entails and what to look for. I can't wait to explore Canada.
Very cool. Pleasure meeting you,
Hey,
Matt.
thanks for your time, guys. It was nice meeting you guys.